In the opening hours, Ori and the Will of the Wisps felt like a ditto, overstretched in diverging directions, not quite sure what it was. A 2D juggle-based character action game, or a touching and beautiful, if a little blunt, artistic tale, or just a gracefully flowing platformer. But by the end, Moon Studios won me over. It's all of those things and absolutely brilliant for it. Ditto is perfectly fine, just as he is. Beyond the enchanting environments, which have somehow improved, Will of the Wisps is almost unrecognisable from its predecessor. The basic abilities are still there, but everything else feels entirely different, and not just from the Blind Forest, but from its contemporaries. I recently reviewed Celeste on here and adored it, but like every other platformer, the movement abilities and stages of movement feel segregated. You run, then jump, then dash. That's not the case in Ori. Everything overlaps and blends together. You don't conquer platforming challenges in Will of the Wisps, you dance around and through them. Evidently, Ori listened to Bruce Lee when he said,
"Be water, my friend."
Each movement is tactile and satisfying. You can feel the tautness of the rope in the grapple, the rush of air from the bash, or the sharpness of the spike as you land on them for the 42nd time. While the combat abilities are just as responsive and tactile, from the weight of the hammer swing to the thud of the throwing spear. It's a dance of mobility and juggling enemies with a set of destructive tools that all have their own little rhythm and flow, like a 2D forest-based Devil May Cry. If you're doing it right, your enemy won't touch the ground until they're dead. It's also deeply satisfying the way the enemies are instruments of their own demise. For example, you can send back most enemies' projectiles faster than they can shoot them, in a why are you hitting yourself kind of way. But the combat still demands a level of precision and mobility that is challenging yet satisfying to pull off. For the most part, normal enemies pose difficult but fair challenges. The bosses, however, can be buttholes of an entirely different flavour. Generally speaking, the bosses are opportunities to flex the combat and mobility in a bombastic fashion, but they fall short in a few ways, like damage taken before a checkpoint carries over, so I go to the start anyway, rendering the checkpoint about as useful as a concrete parachute, while sometimes it's hard to see what is background visual and what is actively going to clobber you in the face. Finally, on the admittedly pedantic criticism front, it can feel like this game is trying to force emotions on you, and leans heavy on the narrative to do it, while the environments and art don't need it. Like splattering glitter on the Mona Lisa, it just undermines the evocative nature beneath. Beyond those minor criticisms, I love what this game does. The chase sequences are exhilaratingly fast, and you're always so satisfyingly close to clocking it up, like sprinting downhill. The new Metroidvania structure is a tasty little dollop of Hollow Knight on my Ori salad. The slottable abilities are close enough in power to be an opportunity for personal preference, not just a rote exercise in optimization. Finally, the constantly recontextualizing world and challenges dotted around are a joy to explore. You should fast travel as infrequently as possible, fighting creepy crawlies, discovering little secrets, and just getting from A to B is too much fun. And that is why Ori and the Will of the Wisps is so good. Right, like if you liked, subscribe if you fancy it, and do the bell if you're feeling extra frisky. On the left is a video I think you'll like, and on the right is a video YouTube thinks you'll like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.